Before you speak up.
I don't know if I need it. Could you speak about your views about the expansion of the Keystone Pipeline? I've read that you do support that expansion of the Keystone Pipeline, and if that's true, would you speak about why?
I would be happy to answer your question. No one was a more ardent opponent of the Keystone Pipeline when it traversed the largest aquifer in the Midwest than me. Nothing could have been more irresponsible than for this country to countenance compromising, potentially threatening such an incredible resource for the people of the Midwest. Now that the pipeline has been redesigned to avoid traveling over the aquifer, we have some hard thinking to do as a people. And there is truth to the fact that the extraction of this energy has consequences. But the American people are not going to be the arbiters of whether that extraction takes place or not. That extraction will take place. The only question that we as a people have to answer is whether, given that that extraction will take place, do we want to put 4,000 Americans back to work with a $7 billion investment and bring that pipeline to Port Arthur, Texas, where, God forbid, this country is ever ensnared in a circumstance where our energy needs are compromised. And I'll say it, I don't want to dance around it. If supplies from the Mideast become disrupted, and certainly none of us want that to happen, but all of us recognize that in the volatile world in which we live, you can't discount that as a possibility. So should that happen, do we want to have 500,000 barrels of oil a day at our disposal to keep our country alive? Or do we want the pipeline to end up in Vancouver, Canada, where we will not have access to that resource? My view has always been, as long as this is going to happen, as long as this energy is going to be extracted, and it's my view that it will, this country will be better served by having access to it in the event that we need it. And that's how I see this decision. So I think, as currently contemplated, and the people of Nebraska, the elected officials in Nebraska, were disappointed with the president's decision because they said, give us the power to direct the route, and if we're happy with the route, we think the president should be happy with the route. So that, I hope that helps answer your question. You're welcome.
I think it's not at all clear that in fact this really has been dealt with. The aquifer in question is enormous, and it needs a full environmental impact statement to see that, which I do not think has been done yet. And something else on the national security front, which I think is important to know. This oil has already been sold in long-term contracts to Latin America and to foreign countries. Port Arthur, Texas is a trade-free zone designed so that it can be exported. So it is a nice notion to think that it's going to go to Americans, but it's not. In fact, it's designed to go to a foreign port precisely because of the trade advantages of sending that overseas. So again, it is TransCanada doing this. They have these long-term contracts that are negotiated in place. So it would be nice to think that that was going to provide a more secure supply for us, but it is not the economic reality. And we need to deal with the economic reality and the environmental reality. And I think the verdict is still out on the environmental of this change of pipeline, which clearly has not gone through regulatory review, but also the reality of where those contracts have been sent. And it's true, if they went to Vancouver, they'd go to Asia. But if they go to Texas, they're going to go to Latin America and Europe. It's not necessarily earmarked for us. And again, this underscores the importance of a long-term renewable energy supply. And I would rather see us as an interim fuel looking at natural gas than at oil sands and adding to that demand, because oil sands is about as dirty as it gets. It is incredibly, the extraction of it is like blowing off the top of a mountain. It's like strip mining and then pouring millions of gallons of water and chemicals through that and then pulling the oil out. It is a dirty, dirty process. And frankly, we should not be supporting it. We should be seeking other solutions.